topic is This week's topic is about keeping your practice going. So we've climbed a little mountain. You remember what mountain you want to climb, how much you want
Julie,
to invest.
Julie,
Can you?
just,
Yeah.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but the music's kind of loud.
Okay.
Yep.
It's not. I'm not in control of it.
Is Anthony?
Yeah.
Oh, Anthony, you can thank Anthony.
That's I have my mic muted.
Oh, well, maybe I'm playing the music. Let me try. Who's playing the music? Is it me? Is it someone else? We were kind of experimenting with that because the topic of keeping things going, you know, music can be something that gets you in the mood. Different people might have different. I'm having a really hard time. Okay. I don't know why, but I can't get to the YouTube page. Maybe it started. Oh my gosh, it was me. I am so sorry.
That's okay.
No worries. So
So
mindful.
mindful mishap that we're going to learn from. Okay. So this week is mindfulness or is keeping it going. So if you remember the topic about climbing a mountain, we're going to review some of the topics from today, as well as at the end maybe reconnecting with what we want to take away from the class. So we're going to from the first week, we also have our traditional start. So we're going to begin with that by connecting with intention. And so with our feet on the ground, our spine in a nice natural straight with its natural curve, not too rigid, not slouched. And feeling our heart a little bit and how doing these practices not only affects our own life, but affects others. The interconnectedness topic means that we're affected by others and we affect others. So when we take a moment for self-care, it's a moment of other care too. And moving on to the 5-point check.
Yes. Checking in with you today and our last practice together of this 6-week series. But as you check in and bring that caring gaze to you, sending some attention to the body, your body, as it's showing up today. Hello, body. And body having a bit of movement through the breath, greeting your breath as it's showing up in this moment. Hello, breath. Hello, inhale. Exhale. Hello, sweet pauses between the breath. And as you're paying attention to body and breath, involving the mind, greet your mind, greet your mental landscape. And as it's showing up right now, what is present? And mind, perhaps leaning a little into the mood landscape, greeting, saying hello to your mood meter, your emotions as they are right now. Turning attention to the big brushstroke of energy. Sensing where your energy is landing or floating at this moment. And then landing back into a connection to the body. Starting to shift to do our half sun salutation. I'm going to stand. Feel free to do the half sun salute seated or join me in standing and mountain. Greeting your feet to the earth, feeling your body land here, seated or standing. Accessing a sense of growth up through your spine, a sense of integrity and grace. And then within that shape, locating your breath once again so you can move with your breath. On an inhale, take your arms up any amount to tall mountain. Feel that stretch tall. And now as you exhale, lean forward a little or a lot as you fold towards the floor. On your next inhale, come halfway up, almost like you're hovering above the earth. And then exhale, release and fold once more. Feel the feet press down and then inhale back up to your tall mountain, reaching high. Arms by your side, exhale. Landing back into a neutral position, standing or seated, as we move into our mindful minute with Laurel. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Now close your eyes if that's comfortable, or a fuzzy gaze down, and we'll have a minute of silence after listening to the bells. Now slowly bring your awareness back to your room, to your feet grounded to the earth, and open your eyes and just notice how you felt after just that minute, that pause in your day to just be with you. So I would just like to take a few minutes to review, to kind of talk about last week. We covered a lot last week, and the homework was a review of that. I'm just taking a look at our homework now. That did you become aware of any sense of feeling overwhelmed or burnout signals arising in your body where you were using maybe the 5-point check or a breath work or some guided meditation on one of our sites or on YouTube? So I'd like to know that. And I'd also like to know if you gave yourself some comfort last week of, right now I'm doing what I can do and it's the best that I can do, and having some compassion and empathy for yourself and gentleness. So if you'd like to share, again, we'd love to hear your voice, or to put in the chat if this came up for you at all last week, or if you put some of the tools, or in other ways that you've put some of the tools you've learned to work for you, to help you, to nourish you. Are you trying to water yourself like a plant?
Yeah, reading over the homework, I, saw that for some people, they really resonate with the 5-point check. Other people don't like the 5-point check, but have relied on something like a nice pause. And some people, are still searching for things that might work for them. So again, this is not a class of like, you must use these tools. At the very least, we're giving you something that you can select a tool that works for you. And so maybe, if you have any other comments about what did and didn't work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you shared that, Julie, that some things work, some things don't. And I find even for myself, when I take my pause, it's like the 5-point check is just that kind of like the reminder too, to take the pause. I'm going to check in, and whether you hit all 5 points or not, but it's the check in, and where does your attention land? And your attention might just land on 1 point of those or 2 points of those, but the benefit is in that, right, there's the 5 point check, or, oh, right, the 5 point check reminded me it's good to take pauses throughout the day, whether I do all 5 or I just breathe, notice, feel. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Heidi. I'm going to read a few of the chats. Marcia said,
Absolutely.
busy family weekend, then was kind to myself and took a long Sunday nap. Yahoo! That's great. Self-care. Melinda says,
Yeah.
my tool always is telling people no, LOL. Yes, setting healthy boundaries,
Yes, boundaries.
We could have a whole course, a whole session on healthy boundaries.
Yeah,
on
we
what
should.
what that means to you. And then another comment, had a couple of tough days and stopped and gave myself a hug. Yes. Also trying tapping on her body. Exactly. And I've been able to use a 5 point check, Donna says, almost daily, trying to help deal with family and work drama with less overreaction. Yay, Donna.
Yay.
Oh, I'm doing that to the day I pass on. Less overreaction.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Would we like to move on? What do you think, guys?
Yeah. Sheena just shared something. Sheena said, I recently attended a meeting that caused me discomfort and frustration. After the meeting, I paused, gave myself a few minutes to ask myself if I did everything I could, and I did and felt better. I self-comforted.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep. Yep. If you ever want to just remember that self-compassion, I have and I've shared this with you all before, I think. I cross my fingers and it's you to you. You know, this is me to me becoming friends and closer to me. Yes, it all starts. Yes, Donna, are you holding your fingers up? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, bless you, Julie.
How do you know?
Yeah.
Heidi, I guess
Yeah.
please add in the
Yeah.
chat as we move on and do other things. Please add in the chat, and then we'll look and see what you're saying. Oh, and
Cross says if I could. Yes, Donna. Oh. All right, friends. I'm going to spotlight myself because I'll be moving away, but I'm remembering to do it before I move away. All those little bits of remembering. Oh, so in this theme of our last practice together, it's like ways to keep it going. I've put together a little short sequence that integrates a few ingredients from weeks 1 through 5. And it's such a great reminder that your practice can evolve from kind of any ingredients you need, right? And we can kind of overlook that sometimes when we think like, oh, how does my movement have to be? Do I need to have like a special sequence? Sometimes sequences are great. Other times it's just let the body move. Remembering things like, oh, I remember I did a pose recently. I'm gonna do that one again. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. Your movement doesn't have to be choreographed like a beautiful jazz dance. Just make it your own and what feels good from the inside out. And that's tapping into that inner yoga we've been talking about, that interoception, like tapping in. How do you feel? How do you want to move in a way that calibrates with how you're feeling, or perhaps what you want to lean into feeling, a little more energized or a little more down regulated? So if you'd like to join me, I'm going to start in mountain pose. And finding your mountain as you did just a little bit ago for the half sun salute. And as you greet your mountain, once again, notice it's a little bit different than the one you just did maybe 5 minutes ago. Meet it that way. Reconnect to your feet as you're landing into them now. If you have shoes on or just socks on, or you're barefoot like me, connect to the feeling of your feet as they are. And then gather a sense of, again, standing, affirming your place. in this moment, standing with a little more integrity and grace. That grace offering a moment to soften where you might feel you're holding on a little bit. For me, that's sometimes my shoulders and upper back. That's you too. Maybe take a moment and just shift those shoulders down slightly. And now as you greet mountain, come back to the layer of your breath. Just as it is, as it's showing up, the rhythm, the pace that is there. And as you're listening to the breath, put your attention into the breath to move with it. So now when you start your next inhale, invite your arms up any amount to that tall mountain shape. And then as you exhale, release the arms down. And start there, just a simple movement of inhale, reaching the arms up. And then letting the arms be, lowering them down. How about one more of those? Inhale, sweep up. And then let that release, let it go. And now let the right hand rest at the belly. Invite the left arm up, getting ready for a side bend. Lean over to your right, a little or a lot. And as you're doing that, a little or a lot, paying attention to how that feels into the left side of the body, feeling that stretch awaken. And then land into the feet, come back up to neutral. Left hand's going to go to the belly, right arm's going to sweep up, taking that to the other side. Lean to the left, curving your spine. Again, a little or a lot as you want to calibrate the shape for you. And then land back into your feet and come back up to neutral. Okay, pause back in your mountain pose. I saw the little pole came back up for me. I'm going to close that out. All right. From here, stepping your right foot a little bit forward, left foot a little bit back. We'll take a twist here. So again, left hand, let it rest to your belly. Right arm, let it sneak behind your back. Land into your legs and feet and start to turn any bit to the right. Just getting some rotation. Notice how it kind of travels all the way up. If it feels good into the neck, perhaps look over that right arm. And then unwind, releasing your twist. Stepping up with your left foot, right foot back. Right hand can rest to the belly. Left arm sneaks to the lower back. And now land to the legs to stabilize. And then turn any bit to your left. Again, start slow, like a little scenic route, traveling up through the trunk of your body, and then maybe the neck wants to turn slightly, looking over the left shoulder. And then re-greet neutral, coming back around, arms by your side, find your mountain again. Okay. Now from that little wake up side to side and a twist, we're going to move into breath of joy. So breath of joy, if you remember from our joy class, integrates almost like a half sun salute, that forward fold action in a big tall mountain. It will also integrate a 3-part inhale with one long exhale. It's a little energizing practice. So afterwards, we'll do a quick check-in to see how it feels. So you'll start with arms by your side. I'm going to demo one time slow, just as a reminder. So it's a 3-part inhale through the nose. So you'll inhale a little bit, reach your arms forward. Inhale a little more, reach your arms out to the side. Inhale all the way full, arms stretch up to tall mountain. And now bend your knees, big exhale, go ha, out the mouth. And then inhale back up. You'll inhale, 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 let it go. Right? Are you ready? All right, find your mountain, connect to your breath, go at your pace, get ready to begin. Inhale, 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 Inhale. 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 Take 3 more for you. Last one. Big inhale, scoop it up. Exhale, arms down to your side. And maybe you have hair like me, right? You just kind of got into it. Hair went all over the place. Maybe readjust that hair if you need to. Say hello to your mountain again. Great. Now give yourself a little extra space to see how you're feeling, like space within the mental landscape, space within the mood landscape. Without rushing to the next thing, check in. How did that breath of joy feel for you? And now bringing hands to your hips, settling here, broaden your feet, getting ready for our warrior series. Starting to the right side, we'll start with warrior 2. Taking your right leg, turn it to face away. Your toes are going to face away from the trunk of the body. And now bend into the right knee as you keep that left foot grounded, planted. Sweep out through your arms really wide, center of the chest out through fingers. And then turn your gaze, look out over your right hand. Get a sense of affirming your place in the moment, legs, feet grounded. But then also accessing some grace up through your spine, growing a little taller. One more breath here. And then release your hands back to your hips. Straighten the right leg, switching sides. Turn your legs so that now your left toes are facing away from the trunk of the body. Right toes can turn in just a little bit to get rooted. Now bend into the left knee as you equally ground through both legs to the earth. Your roots spreading down and out. And then sweep out through your arms. Turn your gaze out over your left hand. Getting a sense of the shape for you, making any little micro movements as you navigate. Warrior 2. One more breath. Releasing hands to your hips, straighten the left leg, turn your legs to neutral, taking those legs, getting them a little bit closer. And now we'll greet warrior 1. So stepping forward with your right foot, left foot back a little bit. You can drop that left heel down as you bend into the right knee, starting to turn the trunk of the body towards that right leg. You can also spin the back foot, and I don't know if you can see that, but I just turn my left heel so that now I'm kind of more in a lunge shape instead of warrior 1 with the foot down. That's a quality that you can bring to life for you if it feels better one way or the other. Settling in, sweep your arms up any bit. Land into your legs to feet, and then also feel a lift or rise up through the trunk all the way up to your fingers. And now from here, hands rest to your hips. We'll move this right into warrior 3. Start to lean forward a little, step your left foot up slightly. And then as you lean in a little more, greet your warrior 3. Left foot can float up any amount. Getting some energy into your right leg. Finding a little breeze into your shape. Maybe in that breeze, reach your arms out, let it soar. And now gently let the left foot find the floor. Stepping back to neutral into both legs. And we'll switch that to the other side. So now turning to greet warrior 1, bending into your left knee, trunk of the body turns to face with that left leg. Right foot can be down, or feel free to turn the leg, pick up the heel. As you greet warrior 1 legs rooting to the earth, sweep your arms up to remind yourself to also get tall. Feel rooted and buoyant simultaneously. Greet your breath. With your next exhale, hands come back to the hips so you can set up for warrior 3. Pop your right foot in a little bit more. Get your center of grounding starting to move into that left leg. Then lean forward any amount, right? That like daring to look over the ledge. Lifting up right leg. And perhaps taking your arms out a little bit like airplane wings as you ride the breeze of balancing. And now gently, right foot's going to find the earth. Turn back to neutral with both legs. Re-greet mountain pose shape. Feet coming a little closer, arms resting to your side. Checking in here for you. Seeing where your attention lands. Maybe at the point of the breath, or you're feeling sensation somewhere in the muscles and the body. Or there's a little ripple of thoughts happening right now. And now give yourself some allowance to come in, to focus a little more, paying attention on purpose to the body, to your breath. And now as you stand, take 2 more breaths in mountain. Starting to feel the breath maybe helping you almost downshift. A little slower momentum. And once you feel kind of in that slower gear, slower speed, feeling walk to your seat, taking a seat. And we'll end our practice with a short tense and release. So sitting comfortably in your chair. And then from that shift to seated, connect back into your breath. So in the tense and release we practiced a few weeks ago, on the inhale, I invited you to tense areas of the body. And as you exhaled, you allowed that tension to move away, kind of from center to periphery, any amount. For today, we're going to do 3 rounds of whole body tense release. So first, connect to the rhythm of the breath. And as you start your next inhale, start to tense a little or a lot through the body, curling fingers in, tensing feet, legs, belly, back, face. A little pause. And then on an exhale out your mouth, sigh it out. Let things melt, let things drift, moving that tension out, center to periphery. Next inhale, repeat. A little or a lot, create tension in the muscles, muscles hugging the bone, face smelling something sour. Exhale. Let it go, long exhale, sense the body melting, releasing. Last time for you. Inhale, build the tension intentionally. And exhale, intentionally invite that tightness to flow away. Feeling muscles releasing their grip from the bones. Noticing your breath now flowing back to a baseline rhythm for you. It might feel nice to rest hands to your legs, let the shoulders soften a bit more. And as you transition into the release of the practice, take 3 more breaths for you, mindfully connected to settling. Mindfully connected to your presence in this moment. And now if your eyes were closed for that last little bit, start to blink them open, starting to locate a few things in the space around you as you reset. Feel your feet to the earth, maybe reset your seat. And thank you so much for that movement practice. We're going to transition back to Julie.
I'm going to do a little review now. So, the second week we talked about joy, and again, mindfulness is not about getting rid of emotions. It's about, knowing how to cultivate ones that feel really good and approach ones that don't feel as good with a little curiosity. So we have a negativity bias in our brain. If you can just keep that in mind and be gentle on yourself about that, it's helpful to know, like, we can do a wonderful set of wonderful things during the day, and we make one tiny mistake, and that's all we think about at 3 a.m., right? So taking time to reflect and savor the good is a really useful thing. So then we talked about unpleasant experiences and the fact that, we can get a little curious, if we have something that we have some aversion to, as long as it's not like a super harmful thing, we can, bring a little curiosity to the board. We're not telling you to force yourself to be happy no matter what, right? It's just about, oh, I'm not feeling so good right now. Where does that feel in my body? What am I, what is affecting my, how is my mood affected by the environment? Just being a little curious can help bring, just like when I saw, this ugly pile of insulation, I got a little curious about my aversion to it. And I'm just like, looks like a little person, right? So then we can think about our interconnectedness with nature and with all of humanity. So we have, humanity, we have our families, we have our work colleagues, we have our friends and people like in sports and our hobbies. We have all these circles where we're interconnected with people, and we affect them and they affect us. We affect nature, nature affects us. So knowing, hey, nature makes me feel good, I like to do my mindfulness outside sometimes. That feels really good. And if you're not an outdoor person, maybe just looking out a window and being able to catch a little bit of green or a little bit of sky might be something that you find when you check, that actually brightens my mood. So understanding that can help. Also, we are very social creatures, and we need to feel that sense of belonging and interconnection. All the drug studies that were done on rats in the early research were done on these rats in these sad little lonely cages. And of course they got addicted to, heroin and cocaine. And the rats that were in, environment that looked natural, they had other fun rats to play with. They wouldn't even touch the heroin and cocaine. They wanted just plain old water. So our environment, being aware of what's affecting us can be very useful. And then we went into mindful mishaps, which, Laurel's already talked about a little bit in review, but knowing that when we feel that tinge of guilt, like there's a reason we feel that. It's not a terrible thing to feel some guilt or shame, but it's not good when it goes on, or if it turns into self-hatred, or if we don't have any self-love coupled with it, right? And so this is the last time you're going to see this equation, okay, in this class. But, knowing the fact that we have to think about the future reward, and the fact that, hey, working with things that aren't as pleasant is going to help us in the future. But note that there's a discount factor for future reward. It's not as important to our brain, which is using very, very old machinery. It's like using a very, very old computer to process something with a supercomputer input into it or something, right? So we also have to make the reward at the time. If we're approaching a mistake, we have to pat ourselves on the back and make it feel like, you're brave. This is a really good thing to do. Make it, mix in some positive emotions, and you'll find it might be a little bit easier. Or you could trick yourself by giving yourself a treat. Hey, I know that I have to deal with the fact that I don't prepare my, something, I'm always late. And then you say, okay, wait, no, I'm going to sit down and strategize about this. Give yourself a chocolate or something, right? And knowing that our brain likes these dopamine hits, and we get a dopamine hit from avoiding and escaping a problem. So procrastination actually feels good. We have to know that we have to overcome that somehow. Compassion and self-love activate the reward area of the brain, just like avoidance. So if we can apply a lot of self-love, we can overcome that, temptation to get the dopamine hit from either avoiding, or like, doom scrolling, right? And so then that brings us to this week, keeping our practice going. So now we're going to start to discuss ways of keeping the practice going. The first week we talked about integration with, if you're a spiritual religious person, bring that into the beginning, especially like you're sitting down, begin with something like a connection with prayer or a connection with a philosophical center in your life. You might even add a poem or a devotional or something to the practice. So, we're teaching you a very secular practice that you can adapt in your own way. I like this Emily Dickinson poem. And I'm going to read it just because I think it helps overcome moral injury. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. So again, just reminding yourself that every little bit in life makes a difference. You may not be a person who wants to do any sort of daily mindfulness practice, and you might benefit from little short mindful moments throughout the day, just doing a whole bunch of reps. Maybe you're doing the dishes, feeling the sensation of water on your hands. Maybe you set your phone to remind yourself to do a little yoga, on the hour, and maybe you're doing it and other people are seeing that you're doing it and they have an excuse to do it too. They're like, oh, that looks like it feels good, right? Or maybe before, before or after seeing a patient, may they be well, and just taking a breath. All those things can help. And they don't take much time at all and actually give you time, right? They set the clock back because that residue of all the, moral injury that we experience and so much stuff going on in our brain is like, all our internet browsers. The other day, I couldn't even operate Microsoft Word. I couldn't find the cursor because I had too many things up. And our brain is the same way. If we're thinking about too many things and we don't take a little break, it doesn't have time to relax. And so stress, what stress is too much intensity over too much time. And so, if we don't take a moment to relax in between, we can't recover for the next thing that occurs in our life. And so another thing that might help is social support. So joining a class, either in person or virtual. We have classes coming up after we have spring break off for WVU, but then we have some classes, and of course there's stuff in our community too. And there's other virtual things that, there might be a mindful Christian class that you want to take, or something that resonates with you, a group that resonates with you. Find something that works with you. You might find an app on your phone. Kudos to you for taking a real class. I have a problem with people only learning meditation from an app because they don't have access to a teacher. But one thing that I've done, I haven't really done a lot of app work, but sometimes I'll find another meditation buddy. Has anyone ever had like a meditation buddy? You can kind of think about that. I also want to say, like, this can become an obstacle for some people, not knowing that sometimes you get kind of weird sensations that happen during mindfulness, and knowing ahead of time that those things are usually very short and fleeting can help you, like, A, not feel crazy about it, and B, not hold on to one that might feel good. So you might have weird sensations in your body. I've had things where like my head feels kind of big, or I feel like energy in my arms or something like that. And I've also had experiences that feel kind of profound, like I feel like a great love for all humanity. And I've even had times where I've cried. Knowing that those things can happen and knowing that it might not happen, that it probably won't happen in your next session. That can be good if it was a kind of aversive experience, but if it was a really like, I feel so much kindness and love for everyone, and you sit down the next day and where is that? Oh no, it went away. It's a good sign that it happened, but things kind of come and go in terms of those experiences. The one red flag is if you feel depersonalized, if you feel dissociated from your emotions, like like you feel like you shouldn't have emotions, or you feel like distance from people, or you feel kind of anger. That's actually a dimension of burnout. And sometimes the brain can use mindfulness or kind of the power of attention that's gained through mindfulness to depersonalize even better. That's a red flag, and please see us or another trained professional if that happens. There's also a resource called Cheetah House for people who have things that happen in meditation that might be confusing, started by Willoughby Britton. She's been in this very basement. She's been at my house before. Her work has been like, what issues have people experienced during meditation? And I'm just going to play a really short video. She was asked about what to look for in doing a meditation retreat. So you may find, hey, I really like this mindfulness. I want to go and do a retreat and deepen my practice. This is her advice, and I really agree with what she's saying here, and we can discuss it.
So I don't want to necessarily rule out or recommend any particular retreat across the board.
Yeah.
I think that there are certain retreats that are pretty repeat offenders. And those are ones that have like high dose, like 15 hours of meditation a day, no movement practice. Often you see an alternation between walking and sitting, and sometimes there's even yoga added. So, more intense practices with no movement and also not necessarily tailored feedback from teachers. So I would be very careful before going on one of those. And I think just in general, like there are so many different options for retreats these days. You can do like an afternoon retreat where it's only a couple hours. Like start there, titrate up. And you can do this at home. You don't even have to necessarily spend the money. You can just
download an app.
Download an app and do that for a day and see.
So when she said, that there are retreats that don't have yoga in them, and what she's saying is that's not so good. If you're not moving and you're just sitting in place, some of those retreats only allow you like 1 minute with a teacher if you have a question, and that's a little bit of a red flag to me. I think it's worth, I don't know who's really going to get into these mindfulness practices. We've had people come in, to these classes multiple times. I do feel like I want to give that as I was told these things before I started my, doing retreats, and I did build up like that, right? I started doing like afternoon retreats, and I lived in Milwaukee, and that was easy to access, but you can do them online. So if you do want to deepen practice, sometimes it helps to get back on the cushion if you've had a little slip. But maybe we could discuss a bit. I have a few more slides about how sometimes you can get like guilty about not practicing and how to deal with that. But let's see if there's any thoughts about those topics.
You want to
Anyone,
check the chat?
Laurel or Heidi?
Or there's something in the chat maybe?
No. Oh, there is. Oh, gonna miss it. I love that. It's really working with, one's individual, like, power source. You're taking back power.
Yeah.
It's your life story. You don't have to have it hijacked by something in your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Erica says something, Julie, about overwhelming emotions.
I can finally I can relate to overwhelming emotions. I can finally take a moment to breathe and enter a formal practice. I tend to thrive with a lot going on, a million things at once, and that's kind of our culture, right? You know, we kind of grow up that way. Have a lot of things that we're involved in, and it can be fun. And for some people, like, energy goes up when you're engaged that way, and then other people, we might notice, like, ooh, I need to take a little, maybe I'll say no, like that. Like one of our so again, you're just feeling how you feel. That's why the individual attention from a teacher, if you do ever do a retreat, is really important, because, like, there's not one advice that fits everyone.
Right, right. And then to notice in yourself when overdoing it's a high, but it can also be addictive, and it can also bite you in the butt. It can burn, like you had said, I think, Erica, you mentioned you can burn out. So, if something taken to an extreme can be detrimental. So awareness. So we're cultivating awareness in these classes. Like Julie said, a curiosity, like, oh, what about that feeling? What about that thought? This curiosity, this gentleness and kindness with self, and not and talking to the fear. What is the fear about? Sometimes I put off a meditation. So we're going to be talking about what are some blocks to you maybe doing meditation. And if there are, like Julie said, you can bring mindfulness into activities you do during the day. You can be mindful of your senses, what you see, smell, hear, touch, and that brings you into the present moment with what you're doing, vacuuming, doing dishes. But also, if you notice, like, oh, I don't want to be quiet with myself because of what might come up, what I might be feeling. I'm feeling a lot right now. Honor that. Just be aware of that too, and honor, like, okay, I don't want to sit right now because it's just a little overwhelming. I got it. So maybe you're more mindful with something that you're doing or not doing. I'm just going to sit here and listen to music. And music is very mindful. You're in the moment with it. You're using your senses. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we were playing that music at the beginning, which I thought was coming from Anthony, but somehow just clicking on the page played it. But that's, an example of, like, it kind of gets you in the mood, right? And it may not be, that might not be your jam, but you might find something is,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We have,
Sorry.
yeah,
I
a
wanted
big
to
part of it.
share. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just reading a chair. Go ahead, Chair. Sorry.
Yeah. Just kind of following this conversation. And Julie, thank you so much for validating that we do have different sets of emotions when we sit down, and it could be different practice to practice, day to day, morning, afternoon, and the evening. I will often sit in meditation, very similar to Erica, and, like, just the slowing down, that intentional slowing down. I'm sometimes hit and, like, takes my breath away in a way and I get emotional, or a few moments in, I often get a wave of emotions that might be in the like, oh, I'll have tears. And it's like, oh, is it, I can go on the story of it, or just like, oh, I'm having tears right now. And I always think of Laurel's thing too, when I have that big rush of emotion that comes on, when I start to slow down, of like, oh, perhaps it's that me to me, the other me, saying, like, hey, like, coming in for a hug, like, hey, friend, haven't seen you for a while. I'm so glad you're here. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
hi.
Where you been, honey?
Yeah, where you been? Hello, I'm here. Because sometimes it's a sense of homecoming too, especially when you have a spot in my bedroom, and when I'm able to really allow myself to sit and be in that spot in my bedroom that I kind of have set up, it resonates with me, a sense of, like, okay, a homecoming, right? A home to myself, whether I let myself sit for a minute or longer. Sometimes I do sit, Laurel. I love that you shared music. Sometimes I will just put a song on and just sit and listen to a song and look out the window. Driving around, I like to listen to podcasts, but if I'm having, having to go somewhere, whether it's like to go teach yoga or go somewhere where I know I'm going to need to be a little more present, I enjoy listening to myself, listening to some podcasts that are actually about mindfulness or, that I can just listen and it's almost like a motivation, like, yeah, right. And like, connect to myself while I'm listening in the car instead of being in the car frazzled if I'm running late or, like intentionally choosing something to get me from point A to point B.
Intentionally, exactly. I noticed our time and I'd like to get in about a 5-minute meditation. And then we'll talk about what you're feeling and thinking. So let's go ahead and kind of regroup, kind of ground your feet again into the earth and close your eyes if that's comfortable, or a fuzzy gaze down. And notice your in-breath. So come back to your breath in your nostrils. And one of the best ways for me is noticing the temperature. What is the temperature of the in-breath in my nostrils? Is it warm or cool? And the temperature of the exhalation in my nostrils, is it warm or cool? Just allowing this awareness to bring you this nice pause, this nice coming home, like Heidi said. Coming back to you in your breath. Thank you, breath, for being automatic. I don't have to think about you. Thank you, lungs. Thank you, heart. Wow, so much automatically going on. Oh my goodness, thank you. Oh, wow. Kind of that curiosity and wonderment. Wow. Whew, I can feel my heart beating. My goodness. Thank you, body. Thank you. Thank you, breath. And allowing your breath to float without holding or forcing in any way. Floating like the waves on the ocean or a feather on the cloud. Just easy in, easy out. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just being here present. That's all there is now, right here. Feeling your feet grounded to the earth. Imagining those lovely roots like we do. Grounding you deeply, deeply into the earth. For that wonderful sense of groundedness, stability, strength, resilience. Now breathing those wonderful qualities up your left and right leg, imagining best you can. Into your left and right hip. Feeling the full weight of your body on what you're sitting. And now for the next few minutes, just notice whatever comes to you. Is it a thought or a feeling or a bodily sensation? And greet that with wonderment, curiosity. Look at that feeling. Where is it? In my chest, in my belly? Is it small or big? And do that with a thought that comes to you. And we'll sit in silence for the next 2 or 3 minutes with yourself and whatever shows up with curiosity and kindness. Very gently and kindly bring your awareness back to your room, back to your body, your feet grounded to the earth, your breath flowing effortlessly through your nostrils. Open your eyes if they're closed and just notice how you're feeling, and however you're feeling is okay. Greet whatever feeling arises with curiosity and compassion. Hello feeling, hello thought, hello body sensation. I'm here for you. I am here for you. Yes, yes. A big yes. So Julie, Heidi, we have a few minutes, and everyone here, please share any thoughts or feelings. You can always get in touch with us through email also, if something comes to you later.
You want to talk about the getting back on the horse? So sometimes people get initially really excited about the mindfulness, and this happens to me a lot. Like I'll go on a run and then life happens, right? And somehow I haven't been, I'll miss my morning meditations. And then sometimes it can become like my meditation, or it can become like a little guilt trigger. Or Nicole, do either of you know the story about Nicole?
Go ahead, Julie.
Okay, so Nicola is our former yoga instructor, and she's retired, but she said people used to come up to her, multiple people, and say, oh my gosh, I'm so guilty. I didn't do my meditation, or I didn't do my yoga. And she's like, oh no, I don't want to make you feel sad. And so, I think that sometimes we have to understand that we live in a culture that that values busyness more than mindfulness and self-care. So knowing that we have to kind of overcome that obstacle, and, using some kind of, resources to, tempt you with a little piece of chocolate, or, connecting with others who are doing the practice can be useful. Anybody else have stories to tell?
I like tricking myself a little bit. I'll say, okay, Laurel, we're just going to do a meditation for 3 minutes, just 3. That's it. And guess what? That 3 minutes turns into sometimes 10, sometimes 5, sometimes 20. And I don't judge myself. Like, oh, you just did it for 3 minutes. You were trying to trick yourself, and that's all you did. It's okay. It's okay. Heidi, how about you? Please.
One of our Madison subjects said, always meditate, set the time to be a little less than you think you can do.
Yep.
Say that.
Yeah.
I think that's what
yeah. That's what'll happen sometimes when I shared just a bit ago that I'll put a song on, because that's kind of what you just said, Jewel or Laurel. It's my little trick. Like I'll listen to a song that's relaxing, and then that song ends and I'm still sitting. And then there's days where I'm like, song's done, I'm up and out. But like there are days that it leads me in, right, to a place where I feel I can sit a little longer.
Yeah. Anthony, how about you? Would you like to join in? What helps you to meditate, or what are some of your blocks?
Well, for me, it's like a good reminder to have this as a resource. My meditation is more like seasonal and spotty, and I'll stick with it for a little bit, and then I feel better, and then I know I can come back to it if I just need, a week of, something more quiet, or a day of something more quiet. So it's almost like a medicine in itself, like rather than like a long-term continued practice. So it's something I come back to.
Great. Wonderful. You use it as you need it. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard somebody speak about that. It was like a coach approach versus like a doctor kind of approach. Like when you're sick, you go to the doctor, and you get your prescription to feel better, and the prescription is mindfulness, right? So I use the mindfulness to get better. And then there's like the coach approach, which is like more long-term, like people that want to do it regularly. I've done both, and I think both are useful.
Yeah. Thank you, Anthony. That's really helpful.
Yeah, if coaches kind of resonates with that cheer suggestion we had early on.
Yeah.
Making cheering yourself on a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do we want to share, or
Yeah.
maybe Anthony, you've already shared the resources and what's going on with that?
Yeah, Julie had those up on a slide. I'm going to send those in the post email with
Oh, good.
like just all the resources. But Laura will be doing meditation on Wednesdays, starting in the middle of March. We're taking next week off, and then Julie will be on Mondays, and Heidi will have yoga on Mondays and Wednesdays in person.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we want to honor your time. We're here for a few more minutes. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for
everyone.
taking care of yourselves, honoring yourselves, watering you as a plant.
Yes.
Julie.
And we have upcoming theme programs too this summer too. So hopefully
Yeah.
we'll see some of you again.
Yeah. The summer series will start in May, and we'll have a class once a month, May, June, July, and August.
Thank you.
So in person, I was doing in person on Monday. I think we might need to find we're experimenting with that. It might be online for the rest of the semester, and then we might experiment with it again, but we'll at least be online.
Someone says,
asked.
where are the in-person Monday, Wednesday yoga?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
I was answering. Yeah, that we're
yeah,
just doing it virtual for a while.
Thanks,
the
Julie.
yoga, Julie, I think she's referring to yoga.
The
classes with me.
yoga. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Erica, the yoga classes are in the wellness studio. If you are familiar with where Chick-fil-A is and Which the sandwich shop, just go past all that towards the elevators, and back in there is the wellness studio. And just before you keep heading further back into health sciences area. So it's there, but Monday and Wednesday. Be great to see you.
Yes. Any questions, anyone, or would you like to ask us, or in chat, or ask us? Yeah. Well, it's 1:04 now, so Julie and Heidi and Anthony are going to meet for a couple of minutes. So last chance, or else email us.
Yeah, raise your hand if you have a question so we know. Otherwise, we put people.
Yep.